Now your alarm or mine?
Huh?
Is that your alarm? Oh, okay. All right. How you doing, Honorable?
Thank God.
Yeah, just
Well,
take a couple of minutes here so we can.
yeah.
Please. Rainy again? I know you've been raining a lot.
Yeah, but it's been raining these few days, but tonight it's not raining heavily, just little rain here and there.
I think the global warming thing. There's some truth to it, though. You don't think so, Honorable?
I think so.
Yeah.
In fact, here in Liberia, the time that used to be the rainy season has dramatically shifted.
Okay.
Right now, we usually have rain up to December.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a radical shift from what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And they attribute it to all of the assault we come to visit on the planet.
Yeah. I wanted to begin our conversation with a wonderful interview you gave in Nigeria, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah, so yeah. Let me see here.
The country's judicial system is at its lowest.
That's it.
Associate Justice of Liberia's Supreme Court said the independence of the country's judicial system is at its lowest ebb. Kabineh Mohammed said there is a gigantic filth in the judiciary that there has to be a strengthening in order to rekindle public confidence in the system. He says the Liberian Supreme Court, as it is today, is an extension of both the executive and legislative government. Associate Justice Ghana was impeached in March 2019 for granting a writ of prohibition petition brought by petroleum dealers in Liberia to stop the government from collecting a U.S. contract against road tax. Last November, the Economic Community of West Africa, ECOWAS Community Court of Justice, ordered the Liberian government to reinstate Justice Ghana and pay him $200,000 as reparation for what was called moral prejudice.
Moral prejudice.
Violation of his rights. The Liberian government appealed. Court again this month rejected the appeal. Justice Ghana said he and his lawyers will not rest until President George Weah's government complies fully with the ECOWAS court ruling.
I have always taken the position that the government of Liberia has no discretion in this matter. I have been given the right to exercise an option whether to retire and get all the benefits appertaining thereto, or to be reinstated.
would you like to retire or would you like to be reinstated as a member of the Liberian Supreme Court?
This, for me, is a matter to do with compliance, full compliance with the judgment of the court. I have no choice in this matter but to work along with my lawyers to ensure that we as government fully complies with the ruling of the court, which means basically that I'll be reinstated in my position as Associate Justice as directed by the court. Nothing less. The issue is not the money. This is about ensuring that the government must understand that there is a country called Liberia which is governed by law, and those laws must be complied with. Not a dime will take until these orders by the court, including reinstatement, are fully complied with.
Assuming, Justice Janet, that the Liberian Supreme Court does not respect the rulings of the ECOWAS Court, what next for you? What are you going to do?
Well, in that instance, I'll be left with the unfortunate situation to seek further actions and remedies from the court, and that is returning to the ECOWAS court and invoking whatever is available in terms of legal application to ensure that there are consequences for non-compliance.
All right, folks. If you're just joining us, we ask that you please share the show. Justice Johnny, if you want to share the show, we'd appreciate that. I know you got thousands of followers. Your background is a little noisy. Are you listening on a device, computer, or?
I'm actually listening on laptop.
Okay. All right. We can manage. It's not as bad, but So yeah, if you just joining us, we encourage you to share this show. I know the interview that we're just listening to. Many of us have listened to it way too many times. No, you've heard it. I have heard it, and the man on the platform, the honorable man, he gave the interview. So of course he knows it better than the rest of us. So we're gonna begin this show. I told you the honorable man was coming on the platform. Some of you doubted me, but I told you we got connections, right? We make things happen. So here he is, looking all good. So we're gonna start the conversation. We'll just do few housekeeping thing here, and then we'll get started. Inshallah, we'll begin the show. Since it's calling from Liberia, where the stamp difference of about 5 hours, 6 hours, so we're not going to keep him up that terribly late. We'll make it snappy so we can get out of here and get ready for tomorrow's Labor Day celebration over here in the U.S. So here are our few housekeeping things, and then we'll begin here, inshallah.
Let's talk about 104 million.
Liberia is a small country in West Africa, as you know, and like a lot of small countries, they print their money abroad and then they ship it into the country. It's just cheaper to do it that way. So at some point last year, the Central Bank of Liberia ordered up 16 billion Liberian dollars to be printed and shipped to Liberia. 16 billion Liberian dollars is about 104 million US dollars. So they put that money in canvas bags. They put it in 20-foot tall sealed containers. It entered Liberia. It cleared customs sometime late last year, earlier this year, and then it vanished. $104 million.
You want to, in a sense, eliminate corruption in a society, and we all want to eliminate corruption in a society. The most effective way to do it is to make sure you don't punish people at the bottom, you punish people at the top. I'll tell you one story. In the
This country is not about education. It's about what the Liberian people need. Our needs and wants. The leader that can provide all the best praise, look at your homes, look at your villages. You are living in huts. If book and English can develop country, Liberia is supposed to be the best country in the world.
Rastafari. Surrender to that.
We're forgetting that we need each other. We're forgetting that we need to look out for each other. We're forgetting that except the least of us is taken care of, that the best of us cannot survive. We're forgetting that it's one world and it's a very small world. I've traveled across all the continents, and I can tell you, we need each other. It's such a small world that if we don't learn to love and respect ourselves and forget those things that we think are important but are actually unimportant, and if we do not have the courage to speak up when we should, then we set every one of us up for trouble.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome to all of you. Good evening to you, Honorable Janet. And if folks, I see some of you coming on already, that's a good thing. Do us a favor, please share the show. Share the show. See, this new way of doing show, I mean, with all due respect to technology, I used to let my teleconference, my cell will push it. I'll send it to thousands of people, but now all of a sudden you got to depend on people to share the show. We got thousands of friends, followers, and so please share the show so that your friends can be a part of today's deliberation, because obviously this is a big deal. This is our big man here, one of the best legal minds of Liberia. I mean, I've always said it, so no ifs and buts about that. So today we have the privilege, of course, the esteemed privilege of hosting one of our own, Honorable Kabineh Mohammed. So good evening and welcome back to the Liberian Diaspora Forum. Let me say, to an upgraded version of LDF, if I may add, because the last time I hosted you, we're not seeing each other. That was just by way of teleconference, right? Remember that time? A few years back. I still miss that though. There was some good side to it, because I realized that too many people felt comfortable calling on the show then, without people seeing them. Ever since this sort of thing began, so it's not the same for me. But hey, technology has a way of shifting course and direction, and so here we are. The last time you couldn't hear me, now you see me. I'm seeing you, you see me. Even though you are in Liberia and I'm here in the US today. But it's a pleasure to have you back on LDF, and I'm so glad you honor my invitation. So let me begin by asking how you been holding up, Honorable Justice Janet. How you holding up so far?
Well, so far so good. Things have been quite good. We are grateful to God for giving us good health, and so we are alive, and then we keep pushing. Okay. We have a country now that we gotta just keep pushing for the transformation that we have struggled for decades.
Okay.
So we are okay.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know. It's good to know you're okay, Honorable Janet. I want to apologize. I want to begin with an apology, because we talked about you coming on this show long before the ECOWAS verdict. Remember that? We knew the verdict was on the way coming. Of course, we didn't know how it was going to be. Maybe you knew. I didn't know, but we had talked about you coming. So, and then ever since then, it didn't happen. Well, I didn't see the need to invite you so early, because after all the interview you gave in Nigeria, I thought that was off the chain. You covered so many grounds. The interview was so outstanding. And by the way, in case you're wondering which interview is the interview that we just listened to briefly here, maybe some point in time, if time permits, I will replay the interview again. But there was nothing left to for you to be interviewed about. I mean, you said it. You lay out so well as far as how the ECOWAS could handle the matter, where we are, and what was expected to happen. So I thought, let me just wait, because I don't want to embarrass myself. The Honorable has already answered all these questions. So now the question becomes, why now? I think I call you this time because it's been almost a year. We are nearing a year since the ECOWAS verdict. And so I'd like to begin by asking you, are you in touch? Has anyone contacted you from the WIA government vis-a-vis the ECOWAS ruling since we came back from Nigeria?
The short answer to that question is no, not in any direct way.
Okay.
But let me just beg your indulgence to backtrack a little bit so that those who have not been keenly following will understand where we are coming from. By November 10, 2020, the ECOWAS Community Court rendered a judgment. And that was a 73-page judgment. And then the highlights were a few points. One was the removal of the applicant, that is Councillor Kabineh Mohammed, was done without any legal basis. And therefore, we declare that removal as illegal and a violation of certain provisions of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, as well as relevant provision of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Okay.
For this wrong, which the ECOWAS Court term as moral wrong or moral prejudice, we are ordering that you pay him compensation of 200,000 United States dollars. The court also ordered that for this horrendous violation, we are ordering that he be reinstated in his position as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia. In the alternative, he should be given the right to retire. And that retirement would take the form of a person who is being retired at the age of 70. So assuming that the applicant now is 60 years, pay him first for 10 years to reach that age of 70, all of the benefits, salary, entitlement, and then retire him from that day as if he had reached the age of 70.
Okay.
And then thirdly, from the day you remove him, which was March, sometime the end of March 2019, up to the time we are rendering this judgment, pay him all of his salaries and benefits as if he was seated and working as a justice. So finally, then they said something that had not been done before in the history of ECOWAS judicial process. They said, we gave you 6 months to fully comply with these orders.
Okay.
And a 6-month counting beginning as of the 11th day of November 2020. Then they sent the judgment out. So we went through December, first month, February, January, February. Almost in the middle of the 3rd month, the government then filed 2 applications before the court. In one of the applications, they said, look, we want you to review your judgment on November 10, 2020, because we think you did not follow the law. you misinterpreted the law, and therefore want you to take a second look at the facts and the laws that are applicable in this particular case. Then they file a second petition. This petition, they say, look, in fact, we believe that the ECOWAS code has been biased in favor of Councillor Janet, particularly the Chief Justice, the President of the court. In fact, we are now asking the court that he should recuse himself from any matter in which the Republic of Liberia will be, or is a party. So that brought like a disruption in the normal process. So they had to send those documents to me for responses. So we did those, and then finally we had to appear a second time before the court to argue those applications and my responses to them. After we did that, then finally the ECOWAS court reconsidered all of the issue, and then finally came down again on June 4th, 2021, with a final decision in the matter in which they reaffirmed all of the orders that were issued in the November 10, 2020 judgment, and now said to the government of Liberia, proceed right now and comply with all of our orders. That was on June 4, 2021. So from that time, from June, July, August, we are entering the September, I have not been contacted directly by any government representative. All I hear on the radio from some of their prosecutors is that we have now received copy of the judgment. The judgment is on the website. It's available to anyone who wants to read it. And besides that, my lawyers from Nigeria did make a copy of the judgment and DHLA to the office of the President of Liberia through DHL, paid for. That document was delivered at the executive mansion and signed for by one of the aides to the president. And a receipt was issued, which the DHL sent back to us. So we have all of that.
That delivery was made.
That delivery was made, signed for, duly by an aide to the president. So what next for us? We now have concluded that the government of Liberia is in defiance of these orders by the court. And therefore, we have one option, and that option is to go back to the ECOWAS revised treaty. There's a provision there on that for sanctions against member countries refusing to comply with the orders of the ECOWAS body, especially any of its organs. So our position is that we are going back to the ECOWAS code, and sooner or later you hear us, as soon as that document is filed, to say we are now asking the ECOWAS code to make the appropriate representation to the ECOWAS authorities for the imposition of ECOWAS sanctions on the government of Liberia.
Okay. And how soon you think you and your lawyers will begin this?
We want to travel anytime from the second week of this month.
This September month. Honorable, there's something you said in your interview, the one you gave in Nigeria, very outstanding. I can't emphasize that enough. And then you just repeated the same here too. But the ECOWAS court's ruling that favor you, it gives, address several issues. $200,000 moral prejudice against your right as a person, and continue to pay you from the day you were impeached, as if you were serving still up to that time, or retire you, or is to reinstate you as associate justice. So it seems to me, listening to your interview, even listening to you now, it seems to me that the issue is not about money. It's not about the $200,000. That's a lot of money, but it's more so about, like you said, Liberia being a country of law, now of men, and that the law must be respected. And so therefore, I think it will be, you think the right thing to be done should be reinstating you, or at least working with you towards the retirement option that was there. But so the question I really want to ask surrounding this is that, so if the government were to decide, for instance, that they want to reinstate you, is that something you would be willing to do, sir?
That's the first option, and that's the option that I will be pushing to get.
To get you reinstated.
Full compliance for me will include reinstatement, not just on the bench as an associate justice, but reinstated in the position that I occupy at the time, and that is number 2 position at the Supreme Court of Liberia.
Mr. Jana, you be getting ahead of my question, because I was coming to that, and and I'm honestly, because the debate that we've been having around this issue, I hear people say that, well, what does it matter? Justice Jana was removed, Justice Kaba was brought in. I'm like, no, you guys missing this point here. The position that Justice Jana occupied at the Supreme Court is not the same exact position that's being occupied by Justice Kaba right now. Yeah, they are all associate justices, you can say so, but Justice Jana had a higher ranking, so much so that if the current Chief Justice were to retire while he's still there, if there was ever the need for consideration of a new Chief Justice under a good government, I like to say, but obviously what we have is it's not a good one. Under a good government, Justice Jana would have definitely been under consideration. I'm not saying give him, but he would have been considered. So could you speak to the difference in ranking as far as where you were and where Justice Kaba is today?
When I was appointed to the bench, I was in the number 5 position. So in other words, I was the most junior justice.
The least, yeah.
The least only thing.
Right.
The 5 justices are basically, in terms of authority in the decision of adjudication, they are all equal. They all have one vote.
Right.
But the way they sit on the bench shows ranking.
Okay.
The Chief Justice is what in law called primus inter pares.
Okay.
He is the first among equals.
Right.
When he is not there, the person who sits in is the second, number 2. And that's the way it goes. That's why when Chief Justice Louis was retired, up to the time that the president decided to appoint a new Chief Justice, the person who was at the number 2 position at the time was Francis Koppel. So he automatically stepped in to serve almost 3 terms as what we call ad interim Chief Justice of the court.
So he was number 2 and you were number 2 when you got, okay.
No, at that time I was
at that time he was number 2 when he stepped in.
Right. He was.
And your bogus impeachment came at the time you were also number 2. That's the point I'm making. Right.
Exactly. Whenever he was in there, I was basically in charge, giving this ranking. So when Kaba came, he became the most junior justice.
Just like you were from the beginning.
Yeah. So he was number 5. But the point I'm trying to make is this: look, whether this is a man from the Mandingo ethnic group, the Muslim thing, that's not for me to discuss. My point is the creation of that vacancy was through an illegal means.
I agree. No, I get that part of it. I get that part of it. And the thing is, I respect the, your decision not to, look at it from the tribal or religious point of view, but I have my own right, my opinion to look at it from that point of view, because at the end of the day, we all belong to an ethnic group in Liberia, and most of us belong to some religious group as well. So I see as one of us, and that is my argument to make, not yours. But when I have told people that, look, when you look at this illegal impeachment thing, we lost a lot. So and the ignorance answer that I get from people oftentimes that, well, they remove Mandingo Muslim man, they brought another Mandingo. I said, no, you're getting this thing wrong. There was this ranking, Justice Janet position and that of Justice Kaba position. Those are two separate positions in terms of ranking. That's one. Two, Justice Kaba himself, who was a judge at the time, he was brought from a court up to the Supreme Court. Who replaced him in that court? We also lost his seat that he occupied. I mean, when I say we, I'm now your words, my words, I'm saying this now. So if he yanked Judge Kaba from whatever court he was, presiding over, so did they carry another Mamadi, another Sekou, another Musa there? Of course not. So we lost that seat, and we also lost the higher ranking on the bench. That is the point I've been making. But for some reason, it's so hard for so-called educated people to make sense of it. I just feel that the impeachment. How do we even get to the impeachment? That's where I want to go to next, right? Because all of the issues that they made, if those issues were reasonable enough, I'm sure the government has a lot of resources. They could have hired a lot of lawyers to go counter your position at the Air Force Court. But even Air Force, for people who were not in Liberia, were able to see through the biases as far as how the procedure was handled. So my question is, the next question rather, is that I know there's been a lot of speculation, and it's not your era to speculate anyway, as an honorable man, but sometimes that comes from our territory. As far as what may have caused this, what may have caused that. I have speculated my own reasons. One is that, like we said earlier, where you sat at the time. Number two, it's very possible, this current Chief Justice may be retiring. So there was concern that if he does retire, and will you being there, it was very possible. It was possible that Liberia was, close to seeing her first, ever Muslim and a Mandingo Chief Justice. I'm not saying it was possible. The possibility existed because you sat right next to the Chief Justice, just like he sat next to somebody before him. I'm thinking that was a concern, but for some other people, and of course, there are a lot of other issues, but there were people who really orchestrated this thing for the president. All of us know that every decision that was made, the president was behind, in the middle, in the front. He was all over it, but he used people, though, not himself. Some of those people we know, Akara's Gray was, you don't have to call names, I will for you. Akara's Gray, no secret about it. Whatever personal issue he had with you, he does have it because he really tore the thing over his head. He went all out. Thomas Fala, I'm glad our people this going election told him what you did to us, what you did to Liberia as a nation, what you did to us as Muslim, as Mandingo, will never forgive you. I'm sure he got the message this going election. There's one other person who was not getting the message quite well. I'm not sure if he does or not, which is this Joseph man. He was just like Thomas Fala. What's his name? Akara's Great. Sir Joseph was in the forefront of your impeachment as far as making up these bogus claims, to the point where he allegedly, this man allegedly took the voting ballot and ran away with it, preventing some good, reasonable lawmakers from voting, in favor of you and against the impeachment. Do you have anything to say? I mean, what? So now that when this thing was actively going, I can see a situation where people say, well, the case is before the judge. It's an under investigation, so therefore we can't speak to them. We can't speak to that. But it's all done now. It's all history now. So in keeping with that, the fact that it's just history now, do you care to speak to some of the roles that some of those go between the ones who handed out the brown envelopes allegedly? You don't have to attest to that. We know them, and they play various roles. Wasn't Senator Joseph one of them?
Let me talk about those who came in the open. like you indicated.
Right.
A Karos Gray.
Karos Gray, number one.
Of course, CFOS.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the level of institutionalization of hypocrisy in the Liberian society is huge and highly disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Take, for example, your Councillor Funati Kofa.
Mm-hmm.
Councillor Funati Kofa granted an interview to Rodney C. And the interview was published in the front page newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
In that interview, he was speaking as the head of the House of Representatives Judiciary Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And he spoke basically about this impeachment, which was then pending. Mm-hmm. And he said his position had been that you can't go ahead with impeachment when you don't have procedure to govern the conduct of impeachment as prescribed by the Liberian Constitution. Clearly, that interview was reported in the paper. 2 weeks thereafter, he formed part of the team to conduct the impeachment against me.
Wow.
He himself came to the place to be one of the prosecutors. Then you have someone like the president pro tempore, who was carrying the papers around. And this is somebody that I work with. I know his level of integrity. This is a man I know. We all work in the transitional government, Judy Bryant. So, and then the various efforts made by George Weah himself as president of the republic, using his office, abusing his authority to say whatever the cause is, we'll do that. You know, the late Geraldine Doe was someone they chased. Doe Sherry was someone they chased all the way to the airport because they wanted to obtain her signature on that paper. And she said, I can't. I just can't. Besides the fact that I have seen nothing that this man has done wrong, I'm also a mother of a Mandingo child. But a Mandingo man, I can't do that.
Wow. I didn't know she was that honorable.
Oh, yeah, she was. At least she demonstrated that, yeah. Right. I had another friend who and I were in Delhi, attending hospital there, and he said all kinds of to me, oh, you know, but he ran back to receive whatever the incentives were to vote. And that died less than 2 weeks thereafter. You know, to show you that most of these people got no integrity. Take, for example, there was one, what they call bill of impeachment. There was a count there. In that bill of impeachment, they say there was a guy that had stopped from getting, I think, $2-3 million because, as a result, the man died. Do you know which firm brought that case to my office when I was in Timor? Shemo and Shemo. Shemo and Shemo firm brought that case to my office. And the point they were making for me made sense. It was legal. So I issued a writ to say, you can't collect this money under these circumstances. In fact, I will send this matter to the full bench to decide. Because a border on interpretation of a statute they made that one of the counts in the impeachment. Vani Shemo came to prosecute me, along with the lawyer who, in fact, brought this petition to my office. So,
I got a full list of those who voted for this impeachment, including people that we least expected, people we thought knew better, people who had shown themselves in the past to be somehow reasonable, law abiding, and but yeah, I got a full list here. But here, so what happened though? What at the end of the day, President Weah, was going to get his wish anyway, because of the way, like you rightly put it, because of the court being an extension of the, the executive, as it is right now. But so why would anyone in his right mind, take the ballot and the bags that the vote were being cast in, and to take that away, to prevent one? Either way, they would have gotten their wish anyway. Do you remember this? And is there something?
at the end of the day, we asked to see the ballot paper. They didn't show that to us.
Okay. They didn't show it. They didn't show it.
No. The Chief Justice, in concoction with the President pro tempore, Mr. Chie, said this was the result. We didn't see it. And under the law, it is my right as a party defendant to see it. To certify myself that in fact the number represent the wishes of the jurors. We didn't see it. As a matter of fact, not only that, that's why if you look at this thing at the end of the day, there was no judgment rendered in the case. There was no judgment rendered. Because in the judgment, you will say, okay, this person is guilty of this, and therefore this is the penalty. There's no such thing that was given at the end of the trial. So it started as a kangaroo's court, and so it ended also. And when you read the ECOWAS opinion, especially the November 10, 2020 judgment, the 73-page document or ruling, it is so clearly stated as to how this was such an assault on the laws of Liberia and all of these international instruments. And that's why the ECOWAS could call it moral prejudice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question has been asked that, again, I mean, I know we kind of passed this here a few seconds ago, but so the question is that if, again, assuming that the Liberian government wants to do the right thing, which is to reinstate you, not just on the bench, but to your number 2 position, that means they'll have to return Justice Kaba. He has to go back somewhere, and that somewhere has been filled. So the question is, would you be okay with Justice Kaba leaving for you to come, considering the relationship between you two? Wouldn't that part be an obstacle, a little obstacle for you at least to say, you know what, since it's Justice Kaba, it is what it is. Maybe I'll just take the retirement option of it as opposed to coming back to be fully reinstated on the bench with my number 2 position. Would you have any problem with Justice Kaba, being asked to leave and have you reinstated?
Well, my position on that has been very clear from day one, and let me restate it. The person who caused this problem, who assaulted our law, stepped the bounds, is Mr. George Weah. He created this problem. It is for him to resolve. If you ask me, what would be your advice? Which I think I should get paid for giving. That advice would be retire one of the 5.
Okay.
If you ask me who would that person, I say, well, probably seeing everything for them is about money, the person who is nearest to retirement right now is the Chief Justice.
Okay.
In fact, I understand he was supposed to be retiring this year, but I think for some reason it is now said to be for next year. So you had little to do by just putting whatever time remaining and paying him for that. See, he was part of the efforts that brought about this issue, this problem to the government. So I don't see anything wrong with that. So I did retire one of them.
Yeah, well, but even if they'll retire one of them instead of returning Justice Kaba, I don't see a situation where Justice Kaba will be there and then Justice Janneh be returned there with two Kaba and the Janneh on the Supreme Court bench. Even if they retire one of them, do you foresee that? I don't. That's not very likely, Justice Janneh. A Kaba will not be there, then they return a Janneh back on the bench. That's too much power for. I hate to say in one ethnic group hand, in one religious group hand, but that's what it will look like.
Well, from a religious standpoint, we used to have 5 justices, all Christians.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. They always been Christian most of the time anyway. Yeah, that's true.
I had time on the bench when they had 2 persons from Monserrado County, in fact, from the same family.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, we have all of that.
Well, but you know though, it's good for everybody else. But once it comes to certain people, it comes to the Janneh, the Kaba, the Kamara, the Toure, the Donzo. That's a whole different argument. You know that.
I agree.
So the next question I want to ask you, Justice Janneh. So assuming that this government does not comply at all, so the last question we just addressed is if they were interested in complying and resolving the matter. But assuming that they don't want, they fail to comply and they don't care, and taking into account that this government has about 2 years left, almost giving it or take it. And in my opinion, I don't think this government is likely to get a second term. I could be wrong about that. But my question is, though, if this government does not comply and the government does not get a second term and another government comes to being, then what happens? How long can this verdict go? Can a new government, brand new government that had nothing to do with this, fiasco, can such a government be held liable to implementation of the ECOWAS court decision?
This decision is the decision to be complied with by the Republic of Liberia.
Okay.
We sue the Republic of Liberia. The judgment is against the Republic of Liberia. Anyone sitting in the seat as a government will have the immediate task to deal with it. But it is against the Republic of Liberia. So whether it's Mr. Weah or another kind of government, this judgment, I can assure you, will be fully complied with, inshallah.
Probably even more so with a more reasonable, a better government than this current one.
Precisely. But we are not going to just sit down and allow them to just talk. We will keep ensuring that the heat is on.
Okay.
Yeah. The ECOWAS Code also have a lot of things they do in West Africa.
Okay.
With the West Africa, with the 60 member countries, including benefits that they receive for membership, representation of their country. So we will make sure whatever will hurt them as a government, that we ensure that is placed on them, is imposed on them as part of the sanction regime that we will be seeking.
Okay. Yeah, it's mind-boggling that Liberia, an ECOWAS member country, will even delay, looking into the regional body ECOWAS decision, this much. But then again, this too is Liberia. Anything is possible.
Yeah, but Mr. Groma, maybe you people don't follow very keenly some of the things that we have. Since this government came to power, they only comply with orders from the Supreme Court when they want to.
When it's convenient for them, yes.
There have been quite a good number of opinions by the Supreme Court where they have openly defied. But when you have someone like Francis Kaba who has no spine sitting as Chief Justice, what do you expect? Why you think almost all of the major contentions now people are taking them to regional courts and they're not going to the Supreme Court? Why do you think?
Because
I mean, you remember the Aziz Jackson case? Aziz Jackson came to the Supreme Court and said, I have tenure. I was appointed to a position for which tenure is secured in the law. Mr. Weir came to power. He is now removing me in violation of that law. So I want protection. Stop him. He filed that petition. The Supreme Court initially issued a stay order saying to the party, ordering the party to remain calm, or you go returning status quo ante until the matter is adjudicated. In the face of that order from the nation's highest court, the Weir government withdrew the man's passport. They refused to pay his salary. They pushed him out of the house he was living. He came back to the Supreme Court to report the court did nothing. But when he went out and said, but what kind of court is this? The whole court has become a toothless bulldog. In fact, his Chief Justice is spineless. The Supreme Court called him in and said, we are holding contempt and suspending his license from practice of law for 1 year. And who's writing this opinion? The Chief Justice himself.
Yeah, you are right. I've seen a lot of cases, being brought to the ECOWA court of late, including the Nimba land issue. They too have gone to the ECOWA's court as opposed to the Supreme Court. So in a country without courts, that is troubling. That is scary. People no longer have faith in their judiciary system. Then it simply means that we are living, at the mercy of God. If to say the least. But that is concerning. How about we shift a little bit to national politics? I mean, we can never discuss this so-called impeachment enough in my mind. And I've told people, see, one of many benefits for living in the West, permit me to say this, Justice Jana, is that you learn even without going to school. You see great things happening before your eyes. Seeing is believing. And I'm not saying this is a perfect country that we live in after Donald Trump. We saw a lot of things, going the other way around. But my point is that for me, like I said before, we all came from somewhere. I belong to an ethnic group. I belong to a religion. I belong to a family. And those who will come and willfully go after people that I belong to, I call my own, for no justifiable reason, I found those people, very, very, unpleasant, and I will continue to put them on notice. Here, the Jewish community, for instance, anybody dare stop a Jewish American, nomination, or just try to impeach them, try to bring any kind of issue unfounded, just on the basis of lie to get to a Jewish person, you got the Jewish community to deal with for the rest of your stay. The same is true for the African American community, even the LGBT, the lesbian, gay community, for crying out loud. And so anybody who casts that vote, knowing fully well that the issue that was brought before them really does not resonate, there was no truth in it. It was just done to please Mr. Weir, plain and simple. And whatever the issues were between you and Weir, I don't know. But Liberia is bigger than Weir, bigger than you. Supposed to be a country of law, so people should have reasoned well in keeping with the Constitution, the law. So though they that did that, the 22, people that casted our vote, we have them, they have us to deal with. Whether or not we make an impact, it's relevant, but we'll continue to put them on notice. Anytime we can, every time we can, everywhere we see them. And that's why we've drawn attention to one of them who's been masquerading around here of late, pretending to be the newest philanthropist of the Mandingo community, Sir Joseph. He's no philanthropist. Basically, these people went after you for reasons best known to them, but more so to please their masters. So that's fine. They did what they did. All we have to do is to remind them that, look, we have not forgotten. One of the problems I get with people coming from the Liberian Civil War is that oftentimes you hear people say, let's forgive and forget. Well, you can forgive, but as far as forgetting, you don't have that choice. How do you forget something like this? How do you? I'm not able to forget it. And every time I say this, I've found few people say, oh, because you know Justice Janet personally. I said, regardless of that, I don't have to know him. Even if Justice Janet wasn't Justice Janet, the issues that were brought before us, the issues that we follow, for me, there are issues that worth, opposing, because it was Justice Janet yesterday, and no doubt there will be somebody else tomorrow. We've seen it from time to time. They continue to, violate the Constitution, going after different issues and different individuals in the country that's supposed to belong to all of us. That being said, let's transition to politics, Justice Janet. I heard a big news anyway. I heard that all is now lost because there's a major political party that's considering you to be a vice running mate to their standard bearer. Is this true? I see the smile on your face.
I'm just hearing that.
You just hearing this?
I'm just hearing that.
No, but on a serious note, though, I know before, even while you were on the bench, you had expressed interest in national, going back to the classroom, how someday you're going to retire, and come back to be a little bit active in politics, express yourself more freely. So are you still considering those thoughts? I mean, 2023 is around the corner. Do you have any political ambition? What are you thinking?
No, right now, I still see my calling in the justice sector.
Okay.
I want to spend a lot of time trying to deal with issues relating to the rule of law. I just believe that if Liberia will be the kind of transformed country that we want to see in our lifetime, we have to make a lot of investment in the area of the rule of law. For the last 10 years, I have been teaching at the law school, the Louis Arthur Grant School of Law, and the Criminal Justice College at the Zion University, some introductory law to law enforcement officers. And we do all of this free of charge, pro bono, as a way of giving back to the society. And these are the kind of things I like to do, and I will continue to do. But in terms of any active, immediate political role, no, I don't see myself right now doing that.
Okay. That's fair enough. Well, whatever you decide to put your hands in, may God bless that. I know you are a good man. How about District 2 politics? Have you any take on that? District 2 politics amongst your people. It's not 2023. 2023 is not that far, but it's not exactly here yet. And as early as September of 2021, you got close to 10 would-be expirants, dancing around. So it looks like we could see a repeat of 2016, 2017. What advice do you have, or what's your take on that?
I think we have continued to tell the young people who continue to show interest that, look, as long as we do not sit down as a community and consolidate our efforts behind one candidate, our chances of losing the seat will be the same as the previous election, the last election. We got to consolidate all our energies, forces, and efforts behind one candidate. Now, how we arrive at selecting that candidate is something we are still toying with. But it seems to me that the lesson we learned from the last elections, which led to a defeat of our candidate, is sufficient a lesson to make us not to repeat what happened during those elections. So at some point, I'm very sure the general discussions going on in the community now are geared toward putting in place a formula that will ensure that everybody will give you an opportunity to do some kind of campaign in a community or wherever, and at the end there will be a selection process that will be transparent to allow one person to emerge.
Okay. We just haven't quite identified a way to do that yet. And they all keep continue to say that they're not going to back down, certainly not this time. So we'll see how that. I mean, you said the one that led to the defeat of our candidate. I say candidates because there were two, at least three, during the last election. Mr. Sese, Mr. Kane, and then there was another lady. So now we're talking at least 10 before even 2022. So I hope that we can find a way to bring them to understanding that we need just one, not even two, let alone 10. How about Guinness?
In 2005, 2005 was the first time we tested this.
Okay.
And because we did not come together behind any one candidate, we lost. Then the following one was when we all came together and then one of us got the seat.
Right.
Then the one following, when we also disagree as we did in 2005, the 2005 experience was repeated. So it seems now very clear to all of us that, look, unless we put all of our efforts behind one candidate, we are bound to lose.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that guys who will say, I've been behind this, I put all this money. At the end of the day, when that selection process is adopted and every one of the candidates buys into that, I know it'll be tough, but we'll just have to agree on one candidate.
How about District 4 in Lofa County, though? Lofa County District 4, that's another point of contention, What do you say to that? I know Mr. Kwale is still considering, the run there, and it's even been rumored that your own wife may also be contesting in District 4. I don't know if you knew I knew that, but I get information. So how is that? How are we going to handle that? I don't know whether Mariam Fofana will be seeking a third term. I hope not, but assuming that she wants to run again and Sekou Kwale wants to run, and now your own wife wants to join that race, then what do you say to that? How do we handle that?
Well, I know that Sekou Kwale, see, he started to express interest in politics, especially for Lofa County representative. See, he has always been a candidate. Including last time. I know that there has been no clear indication yet from Mariam Fofana, the incumbent, to say that she would not seek a third term. I haven't heard anything like that. So I'm also sure that there will be by-elections for the senatorial seat in Lofa. Whether any of them will also want to participate in that. But everything right now is hanging. My wife too, I know that the people from her town have visited her, they had discussed, but we are always taking the position that unless there is an understanding to bring them together, I will caution my wife not to get involved unless we have that kind of understanding. So anything that we tend to devour us more, I don't want my family to be part of that.
That's an honorable thing to say. But I forget to ask, do you have a candidate, a favorite person to be considered in District 2 though? I mean, ahead of any mediation, is there somebody that you would like to see the community rally around?
That will compromise my position if I were to answer that directly. I think I would let that play out There are many qualified persons there. One of them being the former representative on the civil party. And then we have some of the young people too who have been coming around expressing that. So I will let us just wait and see what happens. But I just want to ensure that we work with our community leaders to put in place a transparent process for the selection of one candidate.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable. Before we we move on to our final segment here, I want to take this time to welcome all of our viewers. Thank you for joining us, and please share the show. And by the way, I didn't bring Justice Janet. I brought him basically to talk to me, have a conversation. But he's a very open-minded man, an teacher, classroom instructor, a scholar, someone that we all can learn from. So that being said, the questions that you sent testing to me to see whether he's taking questions, I didn't discuss that part with him. But I'm sure you'll be gracious, to answer a few questions if you have.
Certainly.
Yeah, so absolutely. So there you go. There you heard it. So certainly. So if you have any question, comment, or concern, by all means, the number is right before my name there, and I'll read it to you. Call 612-481-5130. Let me repeat that. If you have any question, comment, or concern, please call 612-481-5130. If you're viewing us from outside the U.S., you want to call through WhatsApp, you can also do so. The number I just read, simply add +1 612-481-5130. Now, I just got a question for somebody who's at work. They will not be calling, just give through test. This person wants to know. They say, apart from retiring one of the associate justices, reinstilling you as a way of, remedying or solving the problems that Mr. Weah has created, is there any other way that you can think of apart from retiring one of those people?
You mean other than retiring one of those people?
Yeah, other than retiring any of the five. Is there another way?
The Supreme Court, according to the Constitution, cannot be more than 5 justices. So, to create a vacancy in order to remedy the problem that was created by the Weah government, you just have to create a vacancy.
Right.
And my suggestion, since for that government, the most important variable in any political calculation is money, the dollars and cents. So then the easiest route to go is to pay the person who has the minimum to take to go home. So I say, pay the Chief Justice, who has already acknowledged that his retirement term is next year, sometime next year. So he pay you off. Other than that, now, if you want me to say, okay, you see, legally speaking, I believe that someone takes a position which was done in an illegal manner, there's good ground legally to remove that person. But that is for them to deal with all of them who caused this problem, including the Chief Justice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is the ultimate way of handling this situation. I agree.
Exactly.
Okay. How about you take a mini break and then we'll come back and wrap up. And when we come back, I want to begin with the situation in neighboring Guinea, just so you know. I don't know what's your take on that. This morning we're waking by you know what. So I want to get your take on that when we come back. So let's take a quick break, get a glass of water, and we'll come back and finish up here.
We forget IMF, World Bank, all other institutions. They make African countries jump through hoops. Loans will never be able to pay. The US, when they borrow money, they're getting it in 1.5, 1.9 interest rate. Africans, when they get the same amount of money, they're paying 9, 10%. The people who don't need a break, they get a break. The ones who need a break, they don't get a break. The sheer survival of the World Bank, IMF, is based on the fact that African countries and many other developing countries do not succeed. Their success is based on our failure. That has to change. And guess who can make that change? We.
the children of Africa. We, the Africans, are the ones who have to say, we know your game now. Enough is enough. We're not playing it anymore. And this is where the diaspora come in. There are more Ghanaian doctors in New York City than in the entire country of Ghana. There are more Nigerian doctors in LA than in the entire country of Nigeria. So let's be serious here. What Africa needs is capacity, capacity, capacity. And that capacity is in the diaspora. So it behooves us to bring the diaspora together. Let them understand what is really going on in our Africa. Diaspora are not going home. Diaspora are angry about Africa because they are not understanding the root cause of why Africa is where it is today. They think getting rid of a president will take care of the problem. Far from it. That president is just going to be replaced by another one who is going to equally suffer from the same difficult environment to work in. So let's look at an Africa that must be free to take care of herself, an Africa that's free from exploitation from outsiders. The multinationals who are stealing from Africa every day in broad daylight. I use an example of the DRC. If you ever fly very low over the DRC, you'll see tarmacs in the jungle. You'll see 747s flying into DRC, picking up minerals and flying right out. The same multinationals are responsible for arming young people and giving them MK-16s. Because why? Their satellites in the skies are telling them where that village is. There are lots of diamonds. So what do? Arm young people, drag them up, and send them to go chop off a few heads. The rest of the village runs away, so they come behind and do their illegal mining. We black people must understand what is really going on. Because what we are shown instead is, oh, look at those Africans killing each other. There are some serious games that have been played in Africa.
This country is not about education.
There you have it. This country is not about education. What an embarrassing statement for a president to make. This country is not about education. You know what I mean? So anyway, welcome back, Justice Janet, and welcome to all of you. If you've been following us, we appreciate that. We thank you. Please go ahead and share the show. I know there are a lot of barbecues going on today, Labor Day weekend. We eat a lot of meat over here. Our people are so much into all these American holidays now, so I don't blame them. So I said when we come back, I was gonna take you to Guinea, but quickly before that, though, I want to ask you a quick question about a personal friend of yours, in person of Honorable Musa Belete. Musa Belete is a very generous man, especially so when it comes to various causes. Fixing our community. I know, I don't know if you remember, but you jokingly referred to describe him one time as a living ATM cash, the man who never pledged. He just count out the cash. Remember that time you jokingly said, because this man is generous. And I tried getting in touch with him not that long ago. I was trying to just speak to that generosity when it comes to the various causes that he and people like you and other people continue to show that in our community. But I know he's very busy with his political, party issue. Most importantly, somebody said that usually it's not for the president to say, it's for other people to say. So people who can attest to your character, people who can attest to your generosity, and people who been there know you. So I thought, who better can I think of than you, who once described this man's generosity, as a living ATM when it comes to our various challenges. So is Musa ability, how let me rephrase this. How good is Honorable Musa ability to our community when it comes to spending money, Justice Jali?
Let me see, Musa, from my personal interaction and experience, I don't know anyone that could rival him in that position.
MashaAllah.
Let me give you just a quick example.
Okay.
When Liberia was hit by the Ebola crisis, the Jacob Bell, where you had a huge concentration of our community people, Mandingo Muslim people, became very hard hit. And part of the problem at the time was how to get the sick to remove them from the home to the hospital. The Mandingo caucus decided that our contribution would be to help government in this area. let's get a vehicle, turn it into an ambulance for use just to get people to hospital.
Transport people to hospital, yep.
We went to the garage to get this Jeep. At the time, they were talking about $75,000, $80,000. Musa personally gave more than $50,000 of that amount.
$50,000 of that amount.
All us, those that you see here, that the money people, all of that, what we put together was the difference between the real price and $50,000 that Musa personally gave. And I can tell you that because most of that donation was given to me personally, and I gave it.
Wait. Was this a pledge or you wrote a check? Cash. $50,000 cash. Yeah. Now another pledge to be getting through a government party.
No, what he paid.
Wow.
He came first, he gave an amount. Later on, we're having some problem paying. He came and said to me, also, just so you know, somebody was owing me some money, they just paid today, so take that and buy it. The total he paid was not less than $50,000 So whatever was the difference between that and the actual price is what all of us put together to pay.
Wow. Say no more. I think that one instance says it all. I know. I just learned that he just pledged $25,000 for the building of a central mosque in Banga. Somebody told me.
I was at the ceremony.
There you go. So, hey, the friends will speak to your character. I mean, and that thank you, Justice Janet. So, making good of my promise, let's go to Guinea now, neighboring Guinea. It looks like the people, I just got off the phone before we started the show today, and the people, especially the people in Conakry, most of them stay awake because of heavy gun sounds, according to few people I spoke to. They say things are not exactly cruising there right now. So what are you hearing? What's your take? When we talk coup d'etats were over in Africa.
Well, when you have a governance system that becomes troublesome, where it's difficult to rely on the rule of law, it's difficult to say that these things will not happen. ECOWAS, as a community, has put a lot of sanction regime in place against people who engage in these kind of things. But it's always been difficult. It's always been difficult to control the conduct of governance in most of these countries. So at some point in time, you just find people coming out with these kinds of uprising. Now, I'm not too surprised given what has been happening in Guinea in recent time. But we're still monitoring the situation. What I saw, the last video I saw was like these people who are said to be in charge now have already taken hold of the president. And that's not a good sign for his regime.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's not.
And he was just in the first year of his third term.
Yeah. Third term that became very, very troublesome for our democratic culture that we've been growing in the region.
So there are people who are blaming him for Edo for trying to stand for even the third term. Such something we also saw in the Ivory Coast. So should the rest of the regional countries be concerned about coup d'etat again, or just be limited to those countries that try to force a third term to change their constitutions overnight?
The guy who is the president of Guinea-Bissau now, he made a remark one time that third term is coup d'etat.
So that it's a form of coup d'etat.
Yeah, he said that. In fact, that's exactly how he put it. He said, third term is a coup d'etat. It's a coup d'etat against the constitution. So, but we can't turn the wheel back these countries will make progress, my brother. Whatever it is, I will say in Mali the other time. Yeah. When people fail to lead and govern, these are the things that usually happen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we hope and pray that our people there will do well, that the situation will resolve itself more amicably, and that we don't get any spill over in Liberia or the Ivory Coast. I'm very sure Ouattara is now having a good day today, considering that they all did the same thing. So now it's something for them to worry about. And for him, it might be even a little different with Babu being back in the country. I see that you are yarning already, and I think we've covered the grounds that I intended to cover. So that brings me to the point where I'd like to ask, what did I leave off? What pressing issue that you wish I had asked, but I kind of skipped? So would you please speak to that?
No, I think you covered largely all of the substantive issues. What I want to ask you in this public manner will be that the moment I file my papers before the ECOWAS court, the next thing will be to talk about it, what my expectations will be. So I will let you know and see whether there will be a possibility to host me for that.
There's always a possibility. This is your show, Justice Johnny. This is your own show. There's always a possibility. Of course, as soon as you do, let me know. I'll make myself available. Even if I don't have time, I'll make time. We make time for things that matter to us, things that are important to us. And your situation is something that is dear and near to our heart. So just let me know.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, brother.
So on that, sure.
Thank you.
All right. So on that note, we can call it a night. We don't have to go off. We don't have anything else to add. I want to thank you. It's a pleasing pleasure that you honor my invitation to come. I'm not surprised. I knew you come. But thank you for being here, and I look forward to our future conversation. My regards to the family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Justice Janet. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, there you have it, folks. We are letting the honorable man go. We have discussed what we had today. Next week, inshallah, I've been contacted by 2 former ambulance drivers for Sir Joseph. Oh, it's going to be a bad day for him. 2 of his former ambulance drivers that he told not to transport Mandingo Ebola-infected patients. Can you believe that? That man said that. The man is evil, I told you. So next week, 2 of his former drivers I've been in contact with. I will schedule them, and they will be right here. They will come and speak to the instruction given to them by this thing called the senator. We will be here. You don't want to miss it. Justice Janet, you're free to go.
Thank you.
So it's all good. Yeah, thank you. Unless you want me to take you out of the studio. If you want to be here, that's fine. Oh, there you go. So Justice Janet has left us. So we done for the day, and so we'll just conclude now. But yeah, next week, man. Next week, I'm going to find time. I'm going to bring 2 former Sir Joseph drivers. They're going to come on the platform here, and they're going to tell you, in their own words, not mine, they're going to tell you what this man said in private. Is it a breach of confidentiality by those drivers? You bet it is. Hey, but that's Liberia. That is a country called Liberia. There's no such thing as confidentiality. They are all grievance seekers. I don't mean to, belittle them or insult them before they refuse coming. But anyway, I'm just saying. So these 2 drivers are making an arrangement to have them come on the show sometimes very soon and speak to what this man told them, how dirty Mandingo people are, for which Ebola was getting the better. The worst of them. Can you imagine that? This is the senator that it's almost an open secret. Everybody knows that this senator doesn't take shower, right? Because of the medicine man, whatever he's dealing with. So somebody like that got the audacity to say, please do not, whatever you do not transport Mandingo Ebola infected patients anyway. Not even the dead ones. And today, that $30,000 we see before, $30,000, that money. You heard Justice Janet? Musa Berete gave $50,000. 50. That's just one of many things he's done. and folks are going to sit there. I continue to wonder what kind of drugs were they on? What kind of pills were they high on? What kind of weed were they smoking to think the way they date, to utter that nonsense? Are you out of your minds? Are you really? But we on it. Come on, right? So we on this thing. I'll bring the drivers. We'll get to you, inshallah. I got a meeting to go to here. I hope my folks are still there. So I'm going to run out of here and head over to Brother Amara Kenneth's house. Hopefully I can still meet the ongoing meeting and be a part, inshallah. Let's all have a wonderful, wonderful Labor Day weekend. I know the folks are having balls in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, from the Donfosi to the Fakoli to Kwadu Boni folks. However illegal, however inappropriate Kwadu Boni folks' convention may be against the witches and the aspiration of the board, they are still having party. That's our people right there. I tell you what, I'm a firm supporter of, now I have come to the conclusion that we should remove constitutional issue in all Mandingo organizations. Let's do that. Let's remove it. Then we'll be fine. We'll not have some of the issues that we have. We'll not even be talking about it. You don't have constitution. We are not people who got any understanding or any desire to understand constitutional issues, especially one that pertain to us. So let's just deal with the national laws and constitutional, now our own. Let's leave our community organizations the way they are. Remember, Bangadi Uteka, like how they call United, those way back Gumbe group and those kind of those are the kind of team we know how to manage well, where we make decisions based on impulses and stuff like that. So thank you for joining me. I'm very delighted you came, and I gotta leave it here because I gotta run. I'm just wasting all this time because I wanted to close with a song. I've become a big fan of Fatih Kanja Fakoli. Ana nyafo be fere ma nyafo butukiri nyatu nyafo lema mata nyafo butukiri be fere. So that's the song I was looking for. Here it is. Let's play that as I put my equipment away, and then I'll be joining my colleagues soon at the meeting. Thank you, gentlemen. Peace. I'm out. Skip this commercial. Bring the song. Come on.
Cosmopolite sur laquelle des peuples se sont réunis. C'est ainsi que les xénophobes se sont installés au XVIe siècle. Ainsi, les groupes étaient déjà là avant le XVIe siècle. C'est ainsi que les baoulés se sont installés au XVIIIe. C'est ainsi que des Youla